Hello, beautiful community. Oh, it's Nick here. Sometimes since I've connected with this beautiful Facebook tribe. So today's the day. I have some really exciting news to share, as well as just to bring you up to speed with what's been happening in the world of Sundara, plus a beautiful shout out and gratitude call out to some beautiful sisters who I have been holding and nourishing, in my heart space. So I thought I would jump in and do this live, as well as to offer you a beautiful grounding meditation towards the end of what I have to say. So gratitude for the abundance that is filling my heart right now, and particularly as it relates to the growing and evolving community that actually is Sundara. So what I mean by that, my love, since leaving Australia in, during the middle of the apocalypse in October 2020, has meant that how it is that I show up, how it is that I craft, how it is that I move in the world has changed very significantly. Not only in terms of how I'm shining my light forward and what Sundara is, built upon, that certainly, hasn't changed in the sense of why it is that I do what I do, which is to support women to embody and to realize that we actually have this full capacity and this full essence deep within us if we actually give ourselves space and decide that it is our sovereign power and our sovereign right to actually feel and feel wonderful in these beautiful, abundant, vessels that we actually are. So what has changed, however, is the way that I deliver my work. So since moving to the Northern Hemisphere and closing my beautiful in-person community, which reached a lot of women in the North Queensland area and abroad, as I used to host retreats also in Bali, it's meant that my offerings have actually had to take shape in a different way. So the way that I actually still desire to show up is still where you receive and hopefully experience my authentic, beautiful soul, but often just not in a physical container, in a container that is still held and is still based on the beautiful foundations of women being seen and supported and being nurtured through whatever it is that the stage of their yoga practice, the stage of why it is that they come to, seek out the work that I do in feminine spirituality practices, specifically in looking at the ancient ways and weaving herbalism and supporting you to remember how to actually connect back, with your body by using yoga as a vehicle to actually experience life, for want of a better word. So the studio, in terms of the Nest community, is actually a beautiful offering that has been in the earthly plane for a couple of months now. But I wanted to just lean in again and just talk to you about what that community actually means to me and what the community also represents for the women who come together and the women who join. So what it represents for me is an extension of my heart, is an extension of all the things that I absolutely adore in this world. And it's an extension of my heart because I actually want to make these practices accessible and available to women to feel that they can actually empower themselves to make the choice around how it is that they show up, how it is that they take the classes, when they take the classes, how much they pay. So it's built on those foundations of giving you as much information as I can and crafting particular entry points, for the container, for the membership, and you making the divine choice based upon what your own sovereign needs are. So for example, your price point in terms of investment point, may not be at a 12-month membership subscription. It may be at 6 months, and that's completely fine because there are no lock-in kind of contracts associated with joining this beautiful online safe at home, and that's how sisters have reflected it to me, at home yoga studio. And you still get the essence of who it is that I am in terms of the way that I move and the way that I show up and the way that I practice. So the container is actually not just about joining, and paying a monthly subscription, or a 3-monthly or a 6-monthly or 12-monthly subscription. It's actually more than that. It's actually about fueling or rekindling your desire to actually reinvest in yourself. It's actually about supporting me so I can actually live a dream. And that dream at the moment for me is actually being in a creative and inspired place on the other side of my birthright country, living and breathing and experiencing new things. And it really does light me up when I find that there is a new person to the community. I find that either if it's a student that is known to me or somebody brand new, it's like, oh my goodness, I have the capacity to actually touch all parts of the globe. So my sisterhood have joined from Australia, from all over, all states. Just a fact, I don't think we have any members from Tasmania yet, or the territories actually, and from the UK and from the US. So it's this global sisterhood, I guess, that is my intention to keep building and nourishing and nurturing. So when you invest in yourself, you actually also invest in me, and you inspire me to actually keep going, keep creating, and keep shining these spiritual practices forward in the world from a place of feminine strength, not from a place of comparatinitis, comparing ourselves to others, not from a place of striving for, the perfect shape in an asana. The perfect shape is an asana is the perfect shape that actually fuels and fits your body. So this community has, at the moment, my goodness, nearly 30 classes that range from pranayama meditation classes to hatha, to yin yoga, to vinyasa, filmed from all over the world, filmed from my home studio here in Panama, filmed from Costa Rica, filmed from the playa in the Pacific coast of Panama, filmed from the volcanic crater. So you get to also experience a little bit of my life, and you also get to experience some of my travel in terms of the wild destinations that I find myself in. And apart from the pre-recorded library that is growing and evolving, you also get access to beautiful wisdom teachings. And the wisdom teachings, range from, I wrote a blog during the week on the subtle energies of the body, one of which is the chakra system. But for those who know a little bit about subtle energy and how that works, the chakra system is only one part of the kosha system, or the layers, just like an onion, and has a beautiful supportive meditation that went with that teaching. Other teachings involve the beautiful series on goddess yoga, probably one of my favorite teachings. So unpacking some of the Mahadevis, giving you some philosophy around some of those Mahadevis as they relate to our menstruation cycle, plus a beautiful teaching on the internal rhythms of yoga that I actually call the internal yoga of our menstruation cycle. So that's just a couple of examples of some of the wisdom teaching that sits actually within the community, that is exclusive for the community, as well as beautiful access to the one-to-one portals and the e-learning options at discounted rates. So fairly significant offers for the membership community of the Nest. And growing and evolving, every week, every cycle of the moon. So it's my call out to you beautiful sisters of Sundara who have been following for a little while, who may have been sitting on the fence, who haven't been sure who it is that I am, who haven't met me in person before. This is actually me. This is who I am. I'm a wild woman in her perimenopausal phase of life, who is doing my best to show up, but also to express how it is that these practices have actually changed my life. And I live and breathe the practices. I live and breathe every day. So I have a devotional practice, a daily devotional prayer practice, which doesn't mean prayer in the traditional sense, in the religious sense. It actually just means that I commit and I show up to a devotional self-care practice. Now that looks completely different. Mostly it is yoga asana and intention setting and breath and journaling, but it can actually be also shamanic movement practice. It can actually be just acquired a practice in terms of a meditation, but always showing up with integrity for myself, so I can actually therefore live and breathe and show up for my beautiful community. So I have this value that kind of sits within my beautiful womb well, that is, if I can't demonstrate the authenticity of how the practices make me feel, then how is it that I have the right to actually share that wisdom with anyone else? So that is really important to me. So if you choose to lean into joining our spaces and even taking the next level or the next step of working one-to-one with me, you can absolutely guarantee that it's lived and breathed and it's felt. You know, the change has felt. I haven't always been this way. And the yoga practice found me to support me to actually, you know, help to heal a broken heart. And since, you know, 2015, when I decided to go out on my own, you know, as a yoga teacher, and actually it was before 2015, 2013, doesn't matter. But in that context of time frame, it's a practice that has really, you know, enriched my lives. And it's also touching and, you know, speaking to other women who are from all corners of the globe, but are also those women who maybe are wildly curious, who want to start a yoga practice, not sure how, have been to maybe yoga studios and haven't connected with the teacher for some reason or another. Have found the focus too much on physical movement, whilst my practices are all about feeling in the body. It's not all about the physical movement. And those women who are maybe in midlife, who maybe identify as a woman kind of just like me, who is navigating change, you know, navigating change as we move and ebb and flow as the moon rises and falls. We too as women ebb and flow every month through our menstruation cycles, and every cycle of life as we, you know, meet and transition through the maiden mother and into the perimenopausal and the crone phases of our life. So all of my practices either align to that cycle or align to the external cycle of what nature's doing. So it is a beautiful way to live and breathe. It's a beautiful way to access a very connected, you know, and spiritual life that is really accessible and really available. So what I have to say is that we have a beautiful new members offer available for the community, the Nest community, and there are only 8 spaces left for that new member offer, because the container is filling. So once those 8 spaces are gone, the price is going to increase. And I'm hoping that if you're interested, that you may actually want to join the live monthly moon call, which is scheduled for the 28th of July EST time, but recorded. And if you're watching this from Australia, it's usually around 7 a.m. on, you know, the Saturday. So it's normally, well, plus 50, we're negative 15 hours from AEST. But I host it here and it's then recorded if you can't join the beautiful community and beautiful Circle Live. So what I'll do is I'll leave the link to the new member offer. So price points start for less than a latte a week over a month. So it's $11.99 a month, no lock-ins. You can cancel at any time. So even if you join, you know, between now and join the live moon cycle on the 28th, and it's not for you, then you still get the month contribution in terms of, you know, the access. So it's a beautiful way, I think, to you know, experience what it is that I offer and how it is that I show up. So if there's anyone here live, let me know. Otherwise, if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. And I'm just going to offer you a quick grounding practice. And the passing of the full moon has been interesting. Passing of the full moon in Capricorn. So it's actually an earth sign, and I was very much reminded of, one second, I've got to switch the phone in. Apologies, the phone's got to go into charge. That's better. And then the light comes on. Okay, you can hear my little puppy outside. So this full moon has just changed change cycle. So she's coming, into that Capricorn energy. And what I was saying, that's right, of the new moon that actually was in Capricorn in January of this year. So if you had actually set some intentions around the new moon in January, I encourage you to maybe go back and reflect on those, because for the reason that Capricorn is actually about this practical application of putting in place concrete plans. And it's also about making beautiful kind of steps forward to achieve those plans. And because it's also on the cusp, or this beautiful window between the change in season from the fertile energy of spring into reaping the harvest, so to speak, into this abundant period of summer, the energy can actually feel the energy between spring and summer is subtly different. So the energy of spring is this pretty vibrancy of fertility and playfulness and sensuality of the maiden, and then it slowly kind of moves into this fuller lusciousness of abundance and this nourishing energy of how Mother just holds us, and Mother gives us all that it is that we need, if it is that we are tuned into her energy. So Capricorn reminds us of that, and this Capricorn moon has reminded me particularly of that essence, which is why I went back to review my intentions that I set at the beginning of the year. And certainly it was about statements around I am, this is my year, I desire to. So it's those positive, really direct manifestations that are actually going to be far more serving than actually just, some flighty kind of long-winded statements that the universe is not really going to understand. So I'm going to guide you now, my loves, through a grounding meditation in devotion to celebrating the partway through the year, in terms of us facing in the northern hemisphere, turning our face away from the sun. We're partway through that because we're coming into summer and then we're coming into autumn, whereas my sisters in the south are obviously passing through winter, and then you'll be passing into the hot times of the year. So it's a beautiful representation in terms of a balance that we have to reflect back to one another. And I'm also celebrating in gratitude new members of my Nest community. A big shout out to Sophie and a shout out to Laura, who have since the last new moon signed up in the community. So that's the reason why there's only 8 spots left to join at the new members rate. So, okay. So let's come in to find a comfortable seat. So perhaps even that seat might be lying down. Perhaps you want to take the practice, as it is an earth-centered practice, connecting perhaps in Shavasana, or if you are taking a upright position or a seated position, just ensuring that you've got a connection to the earth. So the base is connecting to the earth, feet perhaps. I'm wanting you to ground into your energy. Giving yourself permission to listen to your breath. Not rushing the breath, not labouring the breath, but just being present with your breath. And it's of equal lengths, equal parts to the breath that we sit and we honour this place in our cycle as a woman, this place where we occupy this earth in terms of physical form, this place where we occupy our moon cycle, if that's something that you track. And all of these things give us this essence of stability and grounding. Also by honouring where it is that we are in physical location and what nature is actually producing, how nature is behaving around you. That gives us, my loves, a really practical, physical experience. So as you're sitting in to find your breath, I lovingly just thank the ancestors of the lands with which we occupy. To my ancestors, past, present and future. To your ancestors, we thank you for the abundant blessings. We thank you for the harvest gifts. We thank you for providing plants and animals and food and nourishment for us. And perhaps you may like to just have a gratitude practice for your ancestors, for your land. And as you're doing so, let's just come together, if it feels good in your body, just to place the hands into the heart space. Right hand onto the heart, left hand cupping the heart. So the right hand receives and gives life to the left. The left hand receives and gives life force to the right hand. So just by placing now the left hand palm facing up and facing perhaps even the camera, I'm just sending an intention, sending what it is that you need into this beautiful container if you're practicing, and just visualizing a beautiful circle of life. A circle from left to left to left to left to left, giving the energy to your sister, giving the energy to those that are practicing, and just holding space, sending a beautiful intention to this container. And in doing so, now just placing the right hand open. The right hand is to receive. So receiving the beautiful intentions of those in circle, those in this sisterhood. And receiving that as you breathe in through the nose. And the receive is placing now the right hand onto the heart, left hand cupping the heart, and bowing the head in gratitude for the beautiful intentions established at the beginning of this practice. So as we've honoured the lands, we've honoured the ancestors, we've honoured ourselves, we've honoured the sisterhood and the universe, now let's just come back to find the rise and fall of the breath, equal spaces between the breath. Paying attention to the distance between the shoulders and the ears. Dropping the shoulders away, just lifting the heart slightly, dropping the chin if that feels safe. And just conducting a beautiful scan of the body, just by breathing in this essence from your feet, up your legs, into the root. Just a beautiful self-guided body scan, but just not being too quick with the breath, but rather bringing awareness to spaces in the body. Spaces perhaps that are holding a little bit of agitation, and allow the breath, allow the intention of the breath, what sits behind the breath, that intention for your practice, to fuel and to open and to connect with the space. As you're connecting with your physical body, also just allow just some gentle energetic touch to allow you to connect with the physical capacity of your flesh, of your bones, of your being. Of your flesh, your bones, of your being. And as you're being present and grounding and being mindful and breathing, perhaps turn the mind's eye now to your favourite tree. So whether that is in your garden, whether that's in a meadow, whether that's in the Australian bush, or whether that's in the wild jungles of a rainforest, I want you to go to that special place in your memory. I want you to feel and to touch and to smell and to interact with that space, with that memory. How tall is the mother? Does she have any children? Are there any smaller trees within her family unit? How wide is the trunk? Does she have any beautiful knobbles or breasts? Are her limbs beautiful and long? And her fingers as leaves, do they host life? Do they whisper to you? What colour are they? Perhaps there's no leaves at all if you're joining this practice from the south. And just go into that place, perhaps even into making a decision to enter into the tree space with permission of the mother tree to either then expand your consciousness through up into her upper limbs or into the root system of the earth. Regardless of your choice, your ascending or descending, just appreciate and know that this is the physical experience of integration into the realm of the earth. And we're reminded with this Capricorn full moon of the essence and the energy of the earth and of the Great Mother who holds us and nourishes us. So as you're continuing to breathe, just call now to your mind's eye whether it is that you have ascended or descended. A beautiful vision that you have for the coming cycle. And whatever that vision is ask the Mother Tree to support you with hosting life, to support you with bringing that dream, that vision to fruition, and asking her to feed life into that space. And as you're doing so, you're opening the heart space and the heart portal to receive that exchange. And we're reminded of the deep inhales and the deep exhales, breathing deeply, inhaling, breathing deeply, exhaling. So in through the nose, perhaps Royal Maharaja Pranayama, full belly breath. Just making sure that the distance and the space between the breath is even. And as you're drawing this beautiful intention back to the heart, you're drawing in this essence from either above or below. Just allowing that to feed the heart and slowly journeying and now making a transition out of the beautiful Mother Tree and thanking her for her richness, her goodness, her nourishment. Now perhaps even just visualizing placing a beautiful offering at her feet. And in your own words, just thanking her for that beautiful exchange of nourishment, of fuel, of essence, providing you with what it is that you need in this particular point in time to thrive and to move forward into this next cycle of life, cycle of the season, cycle of the moon, cycle of your energy with grace and with compassion, with awareness, but also with this energy that supports us right now, which is to put in place baby steps, some concrete plans, and drawing on the determination that sits within us to fuel us to make the plans, to bring those plans to life. So you know that you can access this point of the wisdom tree at any time. And as we now just slowly come back to the physical realm, just coming back now to just provide some energetic touch back to your body. As you're breathing deeply, and just placing the hands, perhaps right hand on the heart, left hand on the womb, or back to the heart, wherever that feels nice, perhaps palms facing up or down. A beautiful choice as we end the practice together with a beautiful chant of Om. And Om essentially is around connecting to this highest force of vibration, this highest level of tuning into all things, tuning into the ether that is seen, those that aren't seen, that is seen, the spaces in between. So if it feels safe and within your range, you're welcome to join me with the chant. Otherwise, just open the heart to the vibration. And as we breathe in, a big belly breath. And again, breathing in. And for the final time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And just paying attention, my loves, to how that practice has made you feel. And I'd love to hear, either in direct message or in the comments, if this practice has been serving. And I hope to see you sometime in one of our beautiful containers. If you have any further questions, I'd love to hear from you. So wild blessings to you from across the oceans and the skies and the forests. Blessings, my loves.